Booyakasha, welcome man to Win with Vince episode 2. My name is Vince, as you may have guessed, by me actually hosting this podcast, and that's the name of the show. Okay, so thank you for coming, and no, I'm just kidding, this is take 2, unfortunately. We're so professional in the show that I actually forgot to press record before, so it's not actually funny. Took me a while. I was on half an hour before I realized that I hadn't pressed record. So it's half an hour of my life pretty much gone. Today we're going to talk about, let me just hold this over here. Otherwise this is going to become an ASMR session. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about generational trauma today. I touched a little bit about it. I touched a little bit on it in the previous episode when I spoke about resolving gun violence in the US. So this is going to be interesting. Generational trauma. So in the US you have left and right, basically. That's what I was talking about, right? You've got Donald Trump during his inauguration. He came in and he's, a Republican candidate. Democrats are going crazy. They don't want a Republican in power because, Republicans want to give everybody guns. Yes. But Democrats, you want to take guns away from everybody, and that's just silly. You can't do either. I'm sorry. You need a centrist person. You need someone in the middle who comes in and says, listen, no. You go to that corner, and you go to that corner, and you only come out when you can play nice. Like little children. That is what the US needs. You guys treat it like a sport. It's pathetic. You treat it like these are human lives at play. Right? Yes. You treat this like it's like, my favorite team didn't win. I'm gonna fucking go shoot up a school. That's, I don't know, probably not the right thing, but we'll touch on that in a second because this is generational trauma. And here are some interesting facts about generational trauma. But first, I'll tell you a little bit. Stay until the end if you want to find out how Uncle Vince can solve the gun problem, violent crime in the US, not the gun problem, just violent crime in the US. I think I'll just become a contractor for the United States government. I charge, Mr. Vincent, we'd like to hire you. I'll be like, okay, I would like $1 million an hour. They'll be like, fine. I'll be like, for what? What did you just offer me $1 million an hour? It's no wonder the US is in such debt. I say that. I come from a country with insane debt. South Africa. We won't even start on South Africa. Let's start first on what is generational trauma. So generational trauma is how can I put this? It's like the trophy that your racist grandpa. It's the trophy that your racist grandpa won at the racist awards, right? It's got some racist slurs on the side and stuff like that, and you're pretty sure it's been used as a weapon before. But you don't want to throw it away. You don't have the heart to throw it away. Your dad didn't have the heart to throw it away, even though he knew it was wrong. Your grandpa thought it was right. Your dad knew it was wrong. He passes it down to you. And so you can make a decision, right? I would hope. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this. I would imagine you would be locked up in a room somewhere in a jacket if you couldn't. But you can. So you can choose to get rid of that trophy. You can use it. Not use it, whatever you want to do. It's up to you, right? To resolve this generational trauma. More on that in a second. So generational trauma is when previous generations have faced trauma, not worked through it. And generational trauma is actually in your DNA. Did you know that? You are genetically predispositioned to feel something based on what your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, what someone in your bloodline, in your lineage has gone through. Which means if your grandma was a hoe, you are predispositioned to like the dick. You know what I mean? It's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Nothing wrong, getting it on sometimes, but it is how we are programmed. And yeah, an example is, for example, a proper example is Holocaust survivors' children have shown higher levels of cortisol dysregulation linked to how their parents' bodies adapted to trauma, which is just insane, hey? If you were in World War II, you have kids, your kids actually go through the same things that you went through. Because your DNA is programmed that way. Or you programmed their DNA that way. That's just crazy to think about that. Which should actually explain a lot of why places are like they are. Huh? I mean, that brings us back to the example I made of the US. Generational trauma. In the US, it's a country that's built on slavery. It's built on violence. It's built on mass genocide. It's built on colonization, and you're basically telling me, like, no, none of these problems have anything to do with the violence today. Why? Why would they? Because it's in your DNA. You stupid man or woman. Person. You stupid person. How about that? No, honestly, it's something that's real, and it's something that's scary, and it's something that's super bad, and it's something we have to address, something we have to work through. Not just the US. The US has a lot of problems, and a lot of it can be traced back to generational trauma, yes. But it's something that we have to look at. Oh my, I apologize for that. Something we have to look at as a peoples. As a people. I sound like such a diplomat now. Yeah, so it is. If your grandma's a hoe, you're predispositioned to be a hoe. And that's actually a nice slur. You can tell people. You can be like, your grandma's a hoe, which makes you predispositioned to be a hoe too. Hoe. It's actually a nice insult. Makes you sound intellectual. The longer your insult is, the more, or the less explicit I feel like an insult is, the more intelligent the person seems. I don't know, if someone came up to me and said, you fucking piece of shit, fuck you know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, this guy, I'll just, what's 2 + 2, bitch? That's right, that's what I thought. But if someone comes up to me and is like, listen, you're too stupid to solve the Diophantine quintuple, I would be like, I'm sorry, sir. You are a superior being. The Diophantine quintuple is an unsolvable maths equation, by the way, or yet to be solved maths equation. I'm not sure what it's about. People have tried. People have tried very hard. Some people claim they've solved it, but they haven't. It's not been confirmed. It's not been confirmed solved. Maybe it's like one of those super difficult ones, but once you unlock it, you unlock like the secrets of the universe. Oh my god, how cool would that be? If we solve the Diophantine quintuple and we somehow find out that like it reveals the secrets of the universe to us. It's something that's coming soon with quantum computing. That's actually a topic I'll touch on another time, because I am so well equipped to talk about all these topics, such as generational trauma. I'm not actually a licensed professional. I just want to put this out there. I'm not a licensed mental health professional. I'm just a very interested man with nothing better to do than to talk at a camera into a microphone and put it online and make a lot of money. So... I've actually done this before. I have a YouTube channel, and I grew it to 170,000 subscribers. Actually, I grew it to 200,000, and didn't upload for a couple years, and it shrunk to 170,000 subscribers. But now I've elevated myself, and I feel like I am a different person, and so my content has to reflect that, which was a reason for this channel, but more on that later. So, you know that generational trauma is not just mental, it's actually physical. So it can manifest physically. Chronic stress can lead to higher risks of diabetes, heart disease, and autoimmune conditions in descendants of trauma survivors. which is insane, which is another reason why you should go to therapy, why you should try to work through these things, right? If you've gone through something traumatic, such as, let's say you were deployed to a war, you should definitely go to therapy. You should seek help, PTSD is a really difficult thing to deal with. A lot of people have PTSD. PTSD isn't just something that you get from being in an armed conflict. PTSD is something that you can get from various events, man. It could be, you were touched inappropriately. You were attacked on the street. All of these events can lead to PTSD, and PTSD, if it goes undetected, for lack of a better word, undetected or unresolved, then it can really affect you and your children down the line, which is why it's so important to go to therapy and to talk to people about it, to work through it, basically. And PTSD is something you're going to have to deal with your whole life. It's not something that just goes away, unfortunately. It gets better, and you can work to it becoming or affecting your life less, but it's always going to be there. That's pretty sad. So because generational trauma is not just mental, it's actually physical. It's in your DNA, right? I feel like that does explain a lot about a lot of countries. I feel like, it's bad to generalize, and it's bad to say like, oh, this person, is like this because he's from or she's from. But it's true. If you come from a country where you've gone through your country has gone through incredible hardship. Your country has, all this stuff. For example, the Balkan countries, Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, Kosovo, all these places. Of course, there's not just factors like mental health and how parents raise their kids and stuff like that. But if I don't know, Anton, your neighbor, decided to kill Ahmed, and you just watched him do that, and he killed him because he wasn't of the same religion, you just watch that, you're going to go away with a scar mentally, right? That's going to manifest into your life. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel all these things, and if you don't talk to someone about it, you won't understand why. You'll think to yourself, this is just who I am. And then you have kids, and you raise those kids that way, and then one day, your kid comes to you, and he's got maths homework from school. You still have this trauma that's literally scarred your mind. This is what it is. Trauma is a literal scar, or trauma is a literal scar on your mind. You can work on it. You can put those oils on. You can massage it. You can make it go away. Scars will always remain there, but you can work on it, and you can recognize that it is a scar and that it needs to be worked on, right? So let's say now your kid comes to you one day down the line, and you witnessed these horrible things happen during the Bosnian War, or the Balkan War, sorry. And you decide, you've had a hard day, your kid comes to you, scream at him. You tell him he's stupid, what a stupid question, go away, go ask someone else, or just go do it. Your kid walks away crying. He doesn't know what he did wrong. Of course not. It's a child, but you're actively talking to it like this, which means you're scarring your child in the process. This is a thing that the child takes away from it, which is why it can happen to anyone. Anyone can. If you can always get loud with a kid, because that's just who we are. We have emotions. Everyone feels emotions. But if you don't talk to your child about it, then he won't know. He'll think he did something wrong, for example, And here comes out the little child in me talking from experience. My mom hit me. No, I'm just kidding. I hit her. Nobody disrespects Vincent. I'm just kidding. Things like that. I don't know where this example was going. Oh, right. So, but let's say you recognize you have generational trauma, and you decide not to talk that way to your kid. because you remember, like, you're stressed, you have all these other things going on, and he's just coming here. So you tell him, hey, look, can't help you with that right now. Please go away. And then because he's autistic and he's your son, he's going to be like, I need, help me now, please. Breaks down into crying. You need to have that strength. It's a lot of, see, men, this is a problem with men. You think shouting and being angry and being like, what's the word? Intimidating. That makes you strong. Yeah, strong guy. No. Having the patience and I don't know, there's just something so big about going into yourself and repressing that monster inside you. And that shows that you're stronger than that monster. That's a way bigger sign of balls. You've got balls if you can do that. You know what I mean? There's a poem by Rudyard Kipling. It's called If. It basically goes over something like that. He explains it in way nicer words. I'm not great with words, as you can tell. I'm not really a wordsmith. But read If by Rudyard Kipling. So generational trauma can also be worked on, right? And I quite like that because therapy, mindfulness, and education can help stop the cycle of trauma transmission. So if you go to therapy, if you're traumatized by your parents, and your parents were traumatized by your grandparents, let's say, your parents never went to therapy, your grandparents never went to therapy, but you go to therapy, you can stop the cycle. You can break the cycle. Again, you repress that monster that wants to come out, right? You tell it, no, listen, you're feeling this way because this. Sit down and shut up. But you have to work on that, man. It takes time, I tell you. And, it's like, trauma's like generational trauma is like stepping into dog shit with your shoe and then carrying it around with you. People are going to notice, you walk into places, the carpet behind you is all poopy, you stink, you know what I mean? You check under your shoe, I stepped into dog shit, man. Now you go and you stomping on the floor, trying to get it out, using stones and grass and stuff like that. You might get some of it off, you know what I mean? You might get some of the dog shit out your shoe, but there's still going to be dog shit on your shoe. You really have to do that work. And you'll notice, you'll leave less crap behind on the carpet. You won't stink as much, but you'll still stink. And you got to fix that. So you got to take your shoe off, and you got to get in the bath, and you got to get all soapy and naked and send me a picture. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you don't have to get naked and soapy, but you have to get in the bath, and you have to take the brush, and you've got to brush the shit out of your shoe. And you're literally brushing away that trauma, and your hands will get filthy. You might even get a little poop on your face because of the brush and the bristles going back and forth. Or maybe that's just me. But it has to be done. This is hard work. And you might think to yourself, patterns are very hard to break. And sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. And on those bad days, you think to yourself, man, it's not working. Everything is so horrible, things are going bad, and you just look back and you're like, well, this is how far I've come. These are all the good things I've done, all the good things that I'm working on right now. And you keep working on that shoe, and eventually the shit is gonna come out, right? I don't know, the Chinese have such beautiful sayings for things like this. They're like, you are a rock in a river. You are formed by the water, the flowing water. I don't know why. I'm not being racist. This is my Chinese accent. I don't know why I made the eyes. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I apologize. You are flowing water. You are being shaped by the water. Okay? And here I am. I'm just like, man, you a piece of shit. You're shit in a shoe. You fucking brush the shit out. I wouldn't be a good lyrics composer or rap. I wouldn't be a good rap man. Rapist. rapper. Would not be a good rapper. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. You can also transfer AIDS. I mean, positive experiences down DNA. You can break cycles for your children. Don't make your children deal with this stuff. That's another thing of sign of strength. One day your kid's gonna grow up and be like, damn, my grandma and my grandpa, my grandma was a hoe, my grandpa was a slave owner, and my dad didn't pass any of that down onto me. Still like the dick now and then, but who don't? No. So yeah. So you can do all of that through just mindfulness and education and therapy, and you can stop the cycle of transmission. And it's just a testament to human resilience that we can unlearn inherited patterns. Descendants of the Irish potato famine showed higher rates of mental health issues even today. And if you've never been to Ireland, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about Ireland. No, I'm just kidding. Ireland's a lovely place. If you've never been, you should go. And if you've gone before, then you know what I'm saying, right? I have a lot of family in Ireland. I have an Irish cousin, two Irish cousins, and an Irish auntie and uncle. And I love those guys so much. They're the best. If you're watching, if you've made it this far, Kieran, I know you haven't, but here's a little surprise for you. Kiara might have. Love you, bye. Yeah. So the flip side is that healing and resilience can also be transmitted. Families that work to overcome trauma often develop incredible strength and empathy, which also shows me that you should work through these things with your wife or husband, right? And before you pass it on to your kids. Because, you could have kids and you could do things and then not realize that you're doing them, right? So you don't realize that you're doing this. It's like the example with Bosnia, you have a kid and you're shouting at him and he goes and he cries and you think to yourself, like, that's nothing, right? But when you actually do the work, you start to realize the patterns that you're doing. You start to realize that you're doing bad things. And then you start to break them, which is great. Now, back to America. America's problems can be explained, I find, through generational trauma. It's a country that's built on genocide. It's a country that's built on slavery. It used to be a colony, and you have all of these things. And now genocide. It was mass genocide. What happened in the States, right? And down the line, this is hundreds of years ago, down the line, people have interbred with each other and all of these things. So it's not just, you can't just say like, oh, yeah, Cherokee Indians went through all of this, or black people went through all of this, so it's that. No, it's, white people have had kids with black people and vice versa, and with Native Americans and all these things. And everyone, it doesn't matter what your skin color is. Your DNA and trauma doesn't care about what you look like on the outside, right? It's up here. And all of that kind of stuff gets passed down with it. And so I wrote here, I find it so funny when you hear white people telling black people or African Americans, you hear white Americans telling African Americans or Native Americans that, that happened hundreds of years ago. Stop being so, about it. And that's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because it is generational trauma. If your great-great-great-grandmother was owned by a white man, she's going to act a certain way. She's not going to go to therapy. Her kids aren't going to therapy. Her kids' aren't going to therapy. We're the first generation that's going to therapy. Millennials. Or late boomers, first generation. And that's why generational trauma is such a new thing that people have realized, oh, maybe we should work through this, And now we are, and our kids are turning out less shitty than us, So I just thought that's interesting. One way then to stop gun violence in the US is acknowledging this. acknowledging not just the slave trade, but that the US has gone through so many hardships, and that if you want to stop gun violence in the States, you can't take away all the guns, but you can't give people guns either. You have to realize that there's a mental health crisis in the States, which there is. I don't care if you believe in Trump or you believe like he's a god. If you support him or you support Harris and Biden or Bernie Sanders, whoever it is that you do support, you should understand that politics and generational trauma doesn't care about who you support. It's with you. Everyone has it, unless your parents work through it or you're working through it, and you haven't. And other people haven't. And that's why it's so important that there are proper mental health psych tests. Basically, gun violence in the States can be cured by actually putting proper psych tests in place, because the generational trauma is so bad in the US. Everyone is suffering from what their ancestors have gone through, and that plays with your head, right? Some people go to therapy and they recognize it and they fix it. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people who don't deserve to own a gun, because one day when they're feeling bad and they don't know what to do with their feelings, and they think it's a manly thing to men just have to show their anger like this. To an extent, some people choose to go to a gun range. Those are the mentally healthy people, right? If you really want to go shoot something or blow something up, other people don't. Other people go out and they kill something. So you can't protect yourself from a guy who's got military training, right? And he knows how to use a gun properly. The grandma at 7-Eleven isn't going to be able to pull out her fucking silenced Glock 9 whatever on time to actually combat this assailant coming towards her. It's not gonna. That's not how it works. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But it's just as dumb as saying we need to take everyone's guns away. That's ridiculous. I think we need proper gun laws. The US needs proper gun laws. And not even proper gun laws. Just proper psych evaluations. And then revisit it 10 years down the line when people have learned their lesson and people are in a better headspace. And that's the thing. The US needs more access to affordable mental health care. That way, you can actually help people break the generational trauma. Everyone should work on it. Everyone should recognize the patterns. Then revisit the gun laws again 10 years down the line, maybe 20 years down the line. And I promise you, people will think completely different about it. You won't have this stupid notion that people need to ban guns or everyone has to have a gun. It's ridiculous. It's a very radical idea. But like I said, U.S. federal government, I am at your disposal. $1 million an hour, and I'll be your consultant. Elon, adopt me. Pay me in Doge. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. And, subscribe, like the podcast, follow the podcast. And I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.